Cheesehead TV brings you two guys who like to think they know something about football.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Packer Transplants Live. I am Aaron Nagler, and I am joined, as always, by Mr. Corey Behnke, my partner here at Cheesehead TV. I'm coming to you live from Cheesehead TV, New York. Corey joins us across the street from Lambeau Field, and we are ready to talk some Packers. What do we have on tap today, Corey?
Today, we get ready for the NFL Draft happening right behind me in Green Bay, but right now, we welcome Green Bay Packers safety, Evan Williams.
All right.
All
right. Let's go.
What's going on? How are you, Evan?
Man, doing great. Appreciate you guys for having me, man. It's a blessing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for making the time. Really appreciate you being here. And, it's the real kind of, for us as fans who aren't privy to everything going on behind the scenes, it's a real trying time. Still a long way to go. Still got a couple weeks until the draft. And so every bit of Packers news becomes this huge deal. And to get to hear from an actual member of the Green Bay Packers is pretty phenomenal. So, again, thank you for the time, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm happy to be here, man. I'm excited.
How has your off-season been so far? Have you traveled at all? Have you stayed close to home? What's your vibe like once the season's over?
Yeah, this first off season has actually been really nice. Got the chance to travel a little bit. Went to Hawaii with my girl,
Okay.
and that was a lot of fun. We island hopped a few times, so we got to see 3 different islands. And man, it's been good. I've just been recovering. Getting my body back to as close to 100% as I can. And I'm just grateful to have all this time off, because last year around this time I was trying to juggle 10 things at once, trying to get, on a team and, having this spot secured and, getting to be with the Packers now. It's been a blessing.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. As Corey mentioned, the draft's happening in a couple weeks right behind him at Lambeau. And your draft process, as far as the kind of gauntlet, right? People talk a lot about the idea of, okay, you get done as a player, whatever your season is, right? And then maybe a playoff game or a all-star game or what have you. And then you have, all the stuff you have to do around the combine or any of the off-season work that you have to do for teams, visits, pro days, what have you. What was that journey like? Was there a part that was more difficult than the rest? And what was your draft kind of weekend like as far as waiting for the call, so to speak?
Yeah, I'll say this much. It was definitely a hectic journey. You said it best, just with everything that's going on. You're kind of just trying to balance, going to these different places, trying to put your best foot forward and, in front of all these scouts. And then, yeah, at the same time, right before the draft, you have about a month of nothing. Like you don't hear much of anything. Right. And so you're kind of in the dark a little bit. But no, I mean, I have nothing but positive memories from that time. Just getting to spend that time with family. And it's a little nerve wracking, in those moments. You have no idea really where you're going to go, what's going to really happen. The first couple of rounds, you kind of have an idea if you're going that early. But, after that, it's kind of like anything's up for grabs, anything can happen. And so, yeah, man, I have nothing but positive memories from that time. I was in Lake Tahoe with, a lot of my family, hoping to get my name called on day 3. And, I was, it's actually funny. My agent told me to kind of just, be calm during that time, because you're going to get calls, teams are trying to check up on you, during that process. And so I'm heading into day 3, like, all right, I'm going to get some calls, like, don't trip out if I see a crazy area code or
certain number, right?
Yeah. And so literally the first call I got that day was Green Bay, and it's right as it started and right as the day 3 is starting. And I just figured it was going to be, one of those other calls. And yeah. And I think first words were, yeah, I'm going to put you on with our GM, Goody. And I was like,
nice.
That is not what you say if you're just gonna do a normal call. Like, this is the one. And I looked over at my brother, looked over at my mom. Yeah. So man, that's a moment I'll, have etched into my brain forever. So.
That's incredible. I can't even fathom it because the idea, obviously, coming into the draft where you could go anywhere. I mean, anywhere in the
Mhm.
country, you could end up, and it's out of your control. Did that enter your mind at all? As far as, I mean, we've heard kind of jokingly at times for some guys, maybe not so with others, but like, oh, I've been drafted to Green Bay. Great. Where's Green Bay? Like, were you familiar with the area at all, or did you know about the Packers? How into it were you before that you got drafted?
I mean, just as a football fan, I feel like I knew a little bit about Green Bay, just, how historic the organization is. I obviously, I mean, I knew where it was. I think I could point it out on a map if you gave me, a couple guesses. But
You're ahead of Clay
nah, man,
Matthews then. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
yeah, or I'll take it. I'll take it. No, but I think I knew more than the average goer, and yeah, it is a kind of crazy process. You don't know where you're gonna go, and so your family's watching, like, okay, where are we gonna be visiting, for the next
Right.
3 years. And so it was a really cool just process, and being able to land in Green Bay was a blessing.
And looking back at your rookie season, obviously a lot of great stuff put on tape. You had such a really good stretch. Obviously missed a little bit of time with injury before coming back there at the end of the season. A two-part question for you. What are you most proud of as far as whatever you might have accomplished last year, what you did with your first year in the NFL? And then where do you think is your greatest area as far as a need for improvement, where you think you can improve your game?
Mm. Um, I'd probably say I'm most proud of just the way that I handled myself, stepping onto the scene for the first time. It was a pretty hectic, transition. You go straight into a new locker room with a bunch of guys, you look up to, a bunch of guys you respect, and you're clashing heads with them every day. And so, yeah, my main goal, honestly, coming into it was just to, yeah, try to earn a little bit of that respect from guys in the locker room. And if that showed up on Sundays, and then let it happen. But yeah, that was my initial goal, and so that's probably what I'm most proud of, just to kind of put my first impression on tape, and feel like I did a good job of that. Just putting a physical brand of ball, and kind of just relentless football, and kind of just showing that on tape at
Hell
any
yeah.
time I can. And
Hell yeah.
thing I could improve upon, I would probably say my ball production. That's definitely something that, I take a lot of pride in, is just being around the ball, causing havoc just in the game, and kind of being a pest.
Right.
Whenever you're around the ball, you got to make the most of those opportunities, because, sometimes you'll get games where plays just don't come to you. And so, when they do, you just got to try to make the most of them. And I feel like I can do a little bit better, and just, making the most of those opportunities when the ball comes to me.
Love it, man. Absolutely love it. What was that transition like from playing whatever you were asked to do in the college game to what Jeff Halfley and company were asking you to do in Green Bay? Because, as fans sitting from the outside looking in, we were obviously ourselves getting used to watching a new style of defense, a new scheme in
Mhm.
Green Bay. I can't fathom what it's like to have whatever you have behind you as far as what you've done in a previous scheme, and then having to like maybe learn new terminology, learn whatever the schematic differences might be. Was that an easy transition, or did that take time?
It's definitely something that takes time. You really have to spend those hours, and just with people that have been around, the system. You gotta, as you said, the terminology is, it's not gonna be the same any two places you go, and so you gotta basically unlearn everything that you've had in the past, and in an attempt to relearn all this new information that's coming to you. And so, it's not an easy transition by any means, but I did it a couple of times in college. I think I had four different coordinators in my 5 years, and
Holy
so,
cow!
yeah, and so you kind of
So
gotta
you got
be
you're practiced at this.
yeah,
Nice.
exactly,
Wow.
exactly. I had my homework done already before, and so, yeah, it's definitely a process of, yeah, all the terminology. You definitely find yourself using old terminology that you've used in the past for the same, around the same job. But I would say the main difference was, headed for my 1 year at Oregon, it just felt like a lot the first time that I was introduced to the scheme. Like it felt like, or it was just something I was not familiar with, the kind of bracket coverage they run over there. And so that was like starting from scratch. And so coming into Hapley's defense, I'm not gonna say it was easy by any means, but I liked it a lot more just because it was a lot more details based. Like it wasn't as new concepts. You don't have to grasp anything completely foreign to you. But as far as everything you've learned in the past, like you need to learn the minute details in order to be a really good defense. You got to break on the ball right when the quarterback lets the ball go. You got to be able to recognize route concepts, how they're trying to attack you, and it's just a lot more stuff that you need to do from pre-snap to the snap. A lot more that you have to calculate. And I love that challenge, honestly, as somebody coming into this system. As a rookie, you want to be able to push your best out there, and I think half system does a great job of just highlighting our strengths and letting us play fast.
I'm glad you mentioned the at the snap thing, because something that really jumped out last summer when you were at the training camp practices, and I'm there on the sideline watching you guys, and I think I made about, they started teasing me because I think I made 3 videos throughout that summer about your play on the practice field, because what was so apparent and what really jumped out, and I'd love to get maybe your thought here, is the kind of pre-snap stuff that they were asking you guys to do at the safety position, as far as not just like, okay, we're cover 3 or we're cover 4 or whatever, but man, you guys are changing it up while there's motion going on and kind of barking at each other about what you think is coming and who's got what. And that happened like it right away. So I got to think, obviously that work gets done during OTAs and the all season work, because it didn't feel like you guys were just starting together there at training camp. It seemed pretty instantaneous.
Yeah, I give all due credit to just the coaching that we received, as well as the veteran leadership we got in our locker room. Like just being able to be a rookie, come in, you don't know anybody, and then almost immediately to be taken under the wing of a guy like X, all pro type of dude that just sets all the right standards, right? I really stepped into, like, I can't say it enough that I stepped into the perfect situation for me, just because, you have that mentor, you have, some new coaches that are coming in, explaining it to the team for the first time. So you get it, you get that information with the rest of the team. You're not trying to catch up. And it did go really smoothly, honestly. The whole process coming from college and into this new system, it was pretty seamless, being able to, and getting the ability to work with another rookie safety beside you. You got 2 rookie safeties that are coming in beside you, where you can all, meet up, share ideas, and just share knowledge, over what you guys are learning. And so, yeah, I'm definitely just beyond grateful for the position that I was put in. And it was pretty seamless transition. I feel like we did a good job of showing that on the field.
Evan, I'm not saying I've sat here as an observer watching training camp practices that weren't smooth and didn't look good, but let me tell you, I have, and that was not
fair.
it. It looked really good.
Yeah.
Something I did want to touch on here, because it's been kind of off and on in the headlines throughout this offseason, a rumor that the Packers are headed to Ireland this year to play the Steelers. Now, Mark Murphy threw some cold water on that yesterday, but it's still a possibility. And I wanted to ask you, because now you've been to Brazil, right? Like, you guys opened the season in Brazil last year. What are your thoughts on the NFL's push to play internationally? Because it does seem like it's here to stay, but you guys are the ones that really have to deal with this. I mean, the fans can complain about whatever, but you guys are the ones playing the game across the pond in these, far-flung regions.
Yeah, and I'm honestly all for it. I'm a fan of just spreading the game, just the positivity of the game to anywhere that we can, to widen our influence. I think is an awesome thing for the game, an awesome thing for just the growth of the football community. I feel like it's great in theory. Sometimes when you're out there, it can be inconvenient. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like times in Brazil where, our bus got delayed, an hour and a half. It's a 2-hour drive from the hotel to the stadium. And so there's some logistics that kind of, I mean, and it's my first year, right? So I haven't had a, a consistent, traveling basis, but no, I mean, there's some things that are, tough to deal with in other countries, but I feel like it's just in any way that you can spread the game, spread the love of the game, and to other places that are obviously passionate about our sport too. Yeah, I feel like you got to jump at that opportunity.
Speaking of Brazil, how frustrating was that? I mean, I got to admit, I was surprised because, like I said, I had been like talking you up all summer, and then you get to Brazil and you don't play a snap in week 1. Did you know that was coming? Is that something they talked about game plan wise, or was that a surprise?
It was a little bit of a surprise to me. I felt like I was putting some good stuff on tape. Felt like I was executing, the way that coaches wanted me to. And yeah, so going into that first week, I really wasn't too sure. I felt like I had a good opportunity to at least get a few snaps. And so it was really just a reality check. Honestly, just a little humility was thrown my way. That's the only way you can take it really, is just,
Right.
okay, let me go back to square one. Let me just focus on what I can control, the little things, and, go from there. But yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a shock, as you always have that dream, as a rookie coming into the league, first start on the biggest stage
Oh,
and
yeah.
it just
Hell
didn't
yeah.
happen that way for me. And I mean, looking back, I wouldn't have it any other way, because then I was able to step into the role that I was, and, kind of just introduce my name the way that I did. And I feel like that's a much more telling story of just, my determination, and my just perseverance to kind of just get things done.
Hell yeah. We're talking with safety Evan Williams of the Green Bay Packers. Evan, you're an absolute legend for joining us. We only got a few more questions for you. First up, it seems like this gets asked of every dude, and it's a bit of a cliche, but I almost always hear phenomenal, or at least really interesting and engaging answers. So I got to ask, what is, if there was one, what was your welcome to the NFL moment? Was there a hit?
Oh,
Was there a play?
boy.
Was there a player talking trash? Like, was there a moment we were like, oh, wait, what? I'm in the NFL.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that come to mind. The main one that I would say would probably be the Bears game. It was my first game back from a little injury I was dealing with, and so I'm thinking everything's gonna be sweet. Gonna come back. The fans gonna be, no, I'm kidding, but no, yeah, I was just excited to come back. Spend that first game, and then I'm rolling down into the flat of the cover 3 shell, and they run a little toss sweep to the outside, and so I got to come set the edge, and the person coming to me has got me by probably 200 pounds, and I just was in a bad angle.
Yeah.
I got ragdolled, and when I look back up, the guy's in the end zone. I'm like, God, I did not want to see that on film tomorrow. But yeah, that's the main one that comes to mind.
That feels like at least that's a pretty common occurrence for a defensive back, right? If they just happen to get you in the right look, the right play call, and you got that tackle or a guard out in space, like, okay, there's no shame in that. I mean, there was a time,
there was a time when I'm, growing up playing, where you can cut those type of guys. It gets to the outside.
Illegal now, right?
Cause a pile up. I didn't have that in my book of tricks, and so I just had to take one on the chin, man. That was a rough one for sure.
So good, Evan. You're an absolute legend. Real quick before we let you go, what kind of things do you like to do on your downtime? Obviously, there's a lot of football talk. There's a lot of talk about your time with the Packers and in college and the whole football thing. What do you do when you're not footballing? What are you a video game guy? Are you movies, music? What are you into?
Yeah, I'm into all of that. Honestly, I'm a pretty regular dude away from the facility. Like my music, definitely. I've been getting into some good TV shows. Just been watching Severance.
Well, there you go.
And that's been keeping me plenty busy. In my off time. But nah, man, I mean, really just ball. Go home if I have time to go golfing, maybe a little bit. It's pretty ugly. My swing is pretty ugly right now, I must say, because I haven't been out there in a while. I'm dealing with my thumb right now. So it's been a couple months. So don't ask me. Yeah, don't have me trying out my practice swings, out at the links anytime soon. But nah, man. Yeah, play some video games and yeah, just hang at the crib, man. Nothing
I
crazy.
love it. Absolutely love it. Talking with Packers safety Evan Williams. Evan, we really appreciate the time. I hear you're going to be in Green Bay around draft time. Hopefully we'll see you. We're having a meetup there downtown. Hopefully you can stop by and say hello.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. No doubt.
Awesome. Fantastic, man. All right. Well, Evan, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you guys. Yeah, thank you guys again, man. Y'all take care. Appreciate it.
Easy.
Thanks,
Thank
Evan.
you. Thanks, Evan. Evan Williams, Green Bay Packer, right there for your listening and viewing pleasure here on Cheesehead TV. Corey Behnke. We had a Packers player on.
I like him. I like him. Seems like a nice kid. I like him.
Seems like a good dude.
I'm excited. I'm excited to potentially see him draft Wednesday.
Yeah, I hope he can stop by. That'd be great. Corey, I'm glad you said kid, because you know what I realized when we were getting ready for this interview?
Yes.
He is 23 years old.
No,
my oldest daughter just turned 24. That's where we are now, Corey.
Yeah, I don't say kid
as
a derogatory.
We are now,
I definitely don't say kid as a derogatory
of course not.
Statement.
No, at all, in any way, shape, or form. How are you doing, Corey Behnke? Here's what most people want to know is how is Corey Behnke doing this offseason? I haven't talked to you.
I'm doing good. I can feel. I keep telling people this. About a week ago, I can feel the draft coming. I can feel it every day, and it's not just like it's kind of incredible. Not just like talking about opportunities, talking about the things that we're doing for the draft, all those kind of things, but it's just. It's real. It is really happening. Streets are already, Oneida's already closed down. They're going to shut down Lombardi in this weekend.
Which is
it's really crazy. Like, it really is. I just saw a Mina Kimes post about it might be 33, and I just want to say to Mina just real quick, if you don't like what you see in the weather in Wisconsin, just wait an hour because it did show that it was not going to be 33. So I think we got a little bit of time to see what April 23rd is going to bring to us here in Green Bay.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
Wait, I heard you took a video of the draft stage.
We should. This is from. Yeah, it's actually. This is from. I just took this before the show, about 5 minutes before the show. As you can see, the stage has been set, and then they just put the outside where they have the Bud Light and the NFL draft. They literally did that today. They did that about 4 or 5 hours ago. They had the press out, but you can see the parking lot's been taken over. You can see how they're going to put that stage up on the truss. That's the view from my patio right now. And so this is what I mean. Like, Oneida's shut down there, and so it's just all draft all the time. You can feel it. It's coming.
Awesome.
It's real. And it's really I don't think you can understate how big the draft is going to be for Green Bay. And I do get a really good sense. I've been to a lot of meetings. I've been to a lot of we get the sense, and I don't know if it's BS, it could be BS, but I really get the sense that because I do think there's something special about, obviously there's something special about Green Bay, but the fact that, we have a parking marketplace here. We have a people stay in short-term rentals, right? We have all this kind of interesting temporary infrastructure that everyone's used to. I do think that a lot of the national media, I'm not going to name any names, but some of our local reporters who are against having the draft here, I don't think that was taken into account when they were thinking about it, which is very different. I know everybody says this, right? Green Bay is a publicly owned. Green Bay Packers are publicly owned.
Like a public trust, yeah.
Franchise,
Absolutely.
But it's also, it's not just that. It's just there is a marketplace, like I said. There's an economy around games that is different from everywhere else in the country. And so I do think that's going to help us. And I also think that, the entire state of Wisconsin is taking this thing very seriously, which I don't know that you can say for, other states. This is a full court press for the state, county, and the city, and it just feels like everybody's on top of stuff. It really does. And
love it.
I'm excited. I think it's going to be great. I think there's a lot of interesting, we're going to talk about this later, but there's a lot of interesting things where people are, there's some disappointment, but I think people have the wrong expectations as far as how much they thought they could charge for their place, whether they get their place rented for 5 days. I think there's this, I think that the expectations somewhat were wrong, which is kind of typical when it's a one-off event, right? When it's never happened before.
It's so unique. The event itself is so unique, and then you put it in a place and a situation as unique as Green Bay. Yeah, I think no one really knew or knows what to expect. There's no doubt about that. Hey, before we get going, we have to give a shout out to our friends and sponsors here at CHTV, our friends at Nicolay Law. At Nicolay Law, their mission is to help you navigate the challenging time that arrives after suffering an injury in an accident and restore your peace of mind knowing you and your family are protected during your recovery and beyond. And unlike some other firms, when you hire Nicolay, you get an actual attorney that stays on your case and is your main point of contact throughout. Check out the link in the description of this video for more information and to give yourself some peace of mind. Corey Behnke, shout out Nicolay Law. They're everywhere. You talk about the state of Wisconsin. Those folks are everywhere in the state of Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah.
You can't move for some Nicolay Law.
We're back with Packer Transplants because Kyle Cousineau just called you old on the chat. So
well, he is correct. I mean, he's not wrong.
But just seeing Kyle Cousineau actually on a Packer Transplants chat, it just feels like it's just
we've rolled back the clock, baby. We're back.
18, what is this? Is this year 18 for us?
We're rolling
2007.
Into it. Yeah. This will be.
I can't
18.
count.
It'll be 18
will it be?
This summer. Yeah.
I feel like it will be.
Training camp will be 18, which is
nuts.
Oh
my God.
I think I'm ready.
Could have had a kid. Oh, you did have a kid. Oh, we could have had a kid together.
3 of them. It'd be an adult now. My God.
We had a baby. It was called Packer Transplants. Here we are.
Let's get to the hotness. Of course, there's no Packers football
I was like, what has
been played. But I did want to highlight a couple clips from new Packers cornerback Nate Hobbs. There are just 2 plays of which I absolutely love. The first is him triggering on a screen in the flat where he does not hesitate. He who hesitates is lost. Let's take a look at this. This first play in the flat over there. Look at him. Boom! Explode! Hit the dude behind the line of scrimmage. Get the out of there. Big loss. And then look at him track the fastest receiver on the field out of the backfield and cause not only a stop but a incomplete pass with this move. Tomahawk chop, boom, make that football come out.
That's a fumble.
That's an incomplete pass. That's an awesome play by the
It felt like a fumble.
Back is what it is. I'm just excited to have playmaking, some more playmaking in the defensive backfield.
Playmaking would be nice. Playmaking would be nice. I would like
Let's get to some Packers news because there's been a bunch of it, Corey, since we last jawed. Starting with guard Aaron Banks signing in free agency. Packers signing the former 49ers guard. I mean, they gave him a pretty penny. Not going to lie.
I was about to say, according to the internet, we've overpaid for him, Nagler. So I just want to let you know, according to the internet.
Maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. Market rate, that's fine. But they knew who they wanted, and they got him, and they paid him what it was going to take to get him. And look, here's my thing about that. I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't have that in the script. But you're right. People are talking about it, and that's fine because that's what this time of year is all about. But I guarantee you, the first time we see this dude pancake a guy and open up a monster hole for Josh Jacobs to run through to the end zone, ain't no one going to care what he's getting paid.
But also, I do feel like, I know we're in Packers news, but I feel like of all the places that the Packers made upgrades, the offensive line is probably the most upgraded spot. Because, you look at the starting 5, and Jordan Morgan doesn't even crack it, and you got to imagine he's going to crack that by the end of the year. So that's exciting.
Maybe by the end of training camp. I mean, we will see. The other addition, as we mentioned earlier, Nate Hobbs was signed in free agency. The cornerback from the Raiders, a guy who has played predominantly in the slot but can kick outside, and I guess the idea is he will start outside on early downs for the Packers. So more things for Jeff Hafley to work with, more possibilities, more versatility, as it were. McCole Hardman signed a 1-year deal. The former Chiefs wide receiver had a cup of coffee with the Jets for a bit before going back to the Chiefs. Obviously, this is all about his speed. It's going to be interesting to see him both on returns and specifically on offense, where I do think he will have a role, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The Packers re-signed McManus and McDuffie. Both of those felt like kind of no-brainers, the McManus one in particular. And I know you are excited about that, Corey, because that means we don't have to talk about kickers all offseason.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very nice.
The Packers did lose a couple guys. First up, TJ Slayton signed with the Bengals. I thought there was a chance they might bring him back, but doesn't sound like they made any effort prior to his hitting the old free agency, and the Bengals were happy to snap him up. And then Josh Myers signed a one-year deal with the Jets. Josh Myers missing out on the Aaron Rodgers experience by 1 year, but we salute Josh Myers, thank him for his service for 4 years, and now he's a member of the Jets. And your buddy, Corey,
I have nothing
your buddy
to say
Mark
about
Murphy.
Josh Myers.
Mark Murphy is on his final tailgate tour as we speak, Corey, as we talk into microphones. Mark Murphy is on his final, I believe, like 15th or 16th tailgate tour. How you feel about that? Y'all.
You know what my
warm and fuzzy about it?
You know what my third favorite day of the year is going to be?
What's that? Mark Murphy retiring.
Shareholders. For the first time in my life, since we got credentialed, for the first time in my life, the shareholders meeting will be my third favorite. You know what my number one favorite is going to be? The draft, of course, because it's here in Green Bay. Right. And if you haven't heard, it's here in Green Bay. And then the second is obviously opening seat. I mean, actually watching football.
First day.
Hello.
Yeah,
first day.
Great, yeah.
That's always a great day. But yeah, my third favorite is going to be shareholders, because that is going to mark the end. The end of the beginning, as Joe, the singer, says.
We'll have Ed Policy walking us through the PowerPoint there at Lambeau. Whole new era, whole new day. I'm excited
for it. I'm very excited for it.
Speaking of excited, I'm excited for Titletown Tech hosting the startup draft. I mean, what a great idea. What a great idea. This is so cool. I know you've been somewhat involved here.
Can I tell you something that's crazy? And this was announced at the press with Mark and Craig Dickman, and obviously you had Craig on. We interviewed Craig on CHTV about Titletown Startup Draft. So a lot of people know this, but you might not know. LiveX is actually helping produce the Titletown Startup Draft, Titletown Tech Startup Draft. And what's really cool is all last week we shot all 7 startups, and I just saw the freaking hype video for the event, and it is sick. Our team did an amazing job, and Titletown Tech, shout out Grace, Maddie, everybody at Cordero, everybody at Titletown Tech. They've just been amazing to work with, and it's just, it was great. I was at the dentist's office this morning, and and my dentist was like, so what events are you doing? And I was like, have you ever heard of Titletown Tech? And she was like, of course. And I was like, yeah. I was like, finally, we're streaming something in Green Bay that's not, that people know what it is. So that
It's not like some boring corporate thing. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's what's really funny is watching these startups. So, like, not hating on startup, but like entrepreneurs are kind of they're nerdy, absolutely. Right? And they made them run like a combine. So they had to run. And then they had to do field goal kicking, and it's so funny because the Titletown Tech staff is actually pretty good. From what I've heard, they're like some of the best at field goal kicking. But I mean, some of the footage is just hilarious. Watching somebody pitching their startup, and then they have to run a 40.
They have to go run a 40. God bless them. Absolutely really bless them. I just love it. I think it's a great event. Some lucky or really hardworking, obviously, startup is going to get a pretty significant prize from Titletown Tech and Microsoft. So that's pretty awesome. And finally, I know, Corey, every once in a while, not often because you're not a denizen of it, but every so often you will go onto the platform formerly known as Twitter and see things. And I know you couldn't have missed the fact that the Packers submitted a proposal to ban the tush push, which they met at the league meetings last week, talked about it, and then tabled it for further discussion and controversy because the NFL knows how to generate headlines. But I will admit, the reporting around it was that they're about 50-50 in support as far as they've got 16 teams for, 16 teams against, which I got to admit, I'm a bit shocked. I thought, obviously, with the Packers and their proposal, it was pretty clear, and it's been somewhat confirmed, the Packers were doing a solid for the league there. The league knew that there were a number of owners, along with Mark Murphy, who's been very public about not liking the play, thinking it should be banned. And so the Packers put forth this proposal as kind of cover for couple other owners who probably don't want their names out there with it, etc. I thought, okay, that's going to be like 5, 8, maybe 10 if we're pushing it. But now this thing is at 50-50. And the fact that they've tabled it to May, I think there's a decent chance they'll obviously rewrite some of the language, but this is all time for Goodell to, like, butter some bread and twist some arms and get a couple of votes his way, is my suspicion.
I wonder if I've heard. I think I can't remember. I think we had somebody on CHTV where I heard this, so you'll know.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a potential for Goodell. Goodell can just single-handedly make this rule out. He
could. Yes, he could. He could
rare.
very well just come down and kind of mandate it. That mechanism is afforded to him. Yes.
Here's the thing about this whole thing. I have two thoughts on it. One, from a political standpoint, the reason why the Packers are against it, I'm just going to be straight up honest, is because that is what people in the NFL that they need votes for other political reasons. It's the same reason why, like, hey, if I want a Wisconsin, well, this is how it used to work in politics. I don't know how it works now, but if I want a manufacturing plant in Green Bay, I need to vote with some other people in Madison they want, and then, this whole quid pro quo thing. I definitely think that's the reason they originally did it, but I do think there's a deep, I don't think the tush push is that egregious. I do think, though, the fact that you can't help people on special teams when you're on defense, you can't push players into people when you're on defense, it just doesn't feel reciprocal. And then I go back to arguably one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic play in the history of the National Football League, which is the greatest quarterback to ever play for the Green Bay Packers, Bart Starr, not getting pushed in to the end zone on a quarterback.
Mercine's arms up, making it look like he's signaling touchdown, but he's literally showing the officials, I am not pushing him. I did not.
That is the legacy of the NFL. That is a legacy play.
Right.
So, for the Packers to want to ban it, I do think on its face historically it makes sense, but I do think the reason I don't really think anybody in 1265 hates that play. I do think that it was a
well,
hey, I'm going to bread I need my butter. I need my bread buttered, so
yeah. There's one person, Mark Murphy, definitely hates that play, but he is on his way out the door. But I'm with you, man. Like, I mean, the funny part is the Packers were more successful in stopping it than most teams in the league, and they run their own very successful version of it with Tucker Kraft. So it's like, I'm with you 100%, though. Like, the idea that if you can't do it on defense, why you're allowed to do it on offense, that actually absolutely holds water for me. And the other component for me, if we're talking about, okay, this is what we got to change, whatever, just adjudicate it properly. Like, stop allowing the Eagles to completely line up in the neutral zone, which they do many times when kind of trying to get this play off the ground, which is, okay, fine. They figured out a way to do it, quote unquote. Well, let's at least have them doing it by the letter of the law and make sure they're not in the neutral zone. And I think if they kind of crack down on that a little bit more, then I think it maybe isn't so attractive. But
I mean,
hey,
I hear
the other component is, and that's why I kept saying when the whole Murphy was talking about it, or writing about it on Packers.com, man, shut up and just stop it, which the Packers have done. So that's why the whole kind of argument, is it football or whatever? It's like, it's within every rule other than
definitely
the
football.
pushing thing,
It's definitely
it's like,
football.
That's why I'm like, I have a hard time saying it should be banned.
It's definitely football. It shouldn't be
idea.
banned.
No, but I am on board with making the rules equitable as far as both the neutral zone thing and offense defense being allowed to do the same thing.
You opened up an entire wormhole that I could go down about referees, because I just think that everything the NFL does when it comes to adjudication is about entertainment. There's nothing about fairness.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
If you look at every rule that's passed in the last 10 years, it's to make the game more entertaining. That's the number one priority. And honestly, what makes the game more entertaining is what annoys all of us. And our annoyance is what – no, seriously, they equate –
No, I hear you.
When you know how the word engagement – annoyance is inside of engagement.
Right.
So our annoyance is a feature, not a bug to the NFL. And I think that's what a lot of people.
Yes.
So every time somebody says, like, they need to. I'm not shitting on you for this, by the way. But every time, and this, it's like they're like, well, it's not fair. It's like referees in the NFL are clearly not fair. I don't think they make a script, but It's set up to be as many gray areas and human fail
exactly.
conditions as
because
possible.
We're all talking about it the next day. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like Sunday happens and Monday morning we're all talking about it. So yeah, 100% feature, not a bug. No question about it. Let's take a look at the Packers offense, shall we? Because as you said, this offensive line, ladies and gentlemen, with the addition of Banks, Josh Myers' exit, Elton Jenkins moving to center, let's go. I love this development. I do think Elton is going to ball out at center. I love the idea of probably Rasheed Walker at left tackle, and then Banks at left guard, Elton at center. And then the battle is most likely between, Jordan Morgan and Sean Ryan at right guard, and then you've got Zach Tom at right tackle.
Yeah.
But whoever
That's
wins
a great
that
line.
gig, I'm all in, dude.
The only real question mark is, can Elton Jenkins, knowing he's the full-time starter and with an entire offseason, can he basically play at the level he can play every other position?
Right. And that's
really the big question.
And he has, obviously he had an unfortunate start in the rain against Detroit on that Thursday night when Myers was hurt early this year, and people have pointed to that. But to your point, Corey, I think give him a full offseason and let him get ready the way he did back in, 2020, when he had a stretch. I think he started 5 games. And the first game against the Colts was rough for everybody up front. But once he settled in, he was really fucking good at center. And don't forget, he started at center in college. When he's drafted, he was coming off a year at center. So I do think this is going to be not addition by subtraction, but the idea that these parts kind of moving into their correct, I guess, portals or tubes or whatever. This is a improved offensive line that we're looking at on paper right here. Obviously, they've got to do it. They got to do the work. But man, I know Brian has talked about the potential for, or not even the potential for it, it's going to happen. There's going to be a battle at left tackle between Jordan Morgan and Rasheed Walker, which I'm all for. Like, if Morgan can win that job, I think you're cooking with gas, because you have Rasheed Walker then, at least for 1 year, on your bench ready to come in at a moment's notice. What a luxury is that? Having a guy who has started as many games as he had and played as high a level as he has the last 2 years, ready to go at a moment's notice if something were to happen injury-wise. I mean, Corey, you remember the days of Jason Spriggs coming in off the bench and the offense just completely falling apart on third down because you couldn't do anything more than a 3-step drop on 3rd and 9, Like, I love having somebody of that caliber in reserve if that's the way it ends up playing out. And then the other addition on offense, an actual addition, is McCole Hardman, where I know a lot of people leading up to the start of free agency were talking about Devontae Adams, a trade for DK Metcalf. Obviously, none of that materialized. I don't think that's a major surprise, but the Hardman addition was interesting. Obviously, I think his biggest contribution is as a returner, specifically punt returns. I mean, it has been hard to watch the Packers try to return punts for a number of years now, and he instantly upgrades that aspect of the team.
Because they haven't played no players that want to.
Yeah, well, that's a major component, right? I mean, that's very apparent when you watch Jaden Reed back there. He wants nothing to do with it. But Hardman could be a sneaky good addition on offense. I do think, and I talked to Andy about this a little bit earlier this offseason, as far as, like, he could fill out that role that, that kind of not just a motion guy, but, someone who worries the defense because of his speed horizontally, that gets them to just one false step in the wrong direction, whether it's a safety or a linebacker. There's a possibility where just his presence, and then, there's the classic, just run him on a 9 route and he's clearing things out for you, and your safety has to respect him, creating some more space for guys to work underneath. I just think, for a 1-year deal, very a minimal kind of, cost, there's real upside there. And that's the kind of deal that I think people poo-poo when it happens, because he's not a big name and he wasn't who everyone was talking about prior to free agency. But the potential for the ROI here is pretty strong. And I'm excited for it.
This is why I can't stand, like, Packers fans are slowly, I'm not saying all of them, but I feel like what I don't understand is, like Bears fans finally understand that they are the champions of the offseason. I think they finally get it.
They get it.
But like
they're leaning into it, as they should.
Now they lean into it and make fun of themselves. I've seen like actual like people, oh, what is this truck is like, I need to get into Lambeau.
I got to get it.
But Packers fans, I feel like there's some Packers fans who are trying to like compete with Bears fans to like, it's like important for us to be the king of the offseason. And I don't understand that because like, it's just you set this stupid narrative expectation. Oh, we have to have a wide receiver one, and then everything gets off of that, you know? Or, you know,
and when that doesn't transpire, that's when
you're disappointed.
Think,
so we're
going to
be worse.
Anything. Right.
But it's also like human beings in their second and third year in the NFL, which are largely the high number of human beings on our team, they tend to improve in year 3 and 4. That tends to happen, especially when they are on the same team and they have the same defense and offensive scheme. It's interesting how like human development works, you know?
Yeah, no doubt.
And it's just funny how like human development is never taken into context on the internet. It's like, oh, well,
you can't.
Human development. You don't generate a whole... I haven't seen it, so it's not real.
Exactly, and you don't generate a whole lot of headlines with it, and it's not exciting. It's just happening in the background, and that's people get impatient. So I understand it. But one of those people you're talking about, a guy who barely saw the field last year, but I also think could be a pretty significant contributor, a guy who I would characterize as a wild card coming into this next season on offense, is Marshawn Lloyd, a kid who, you know, we were all excited about in training camp last year, certainly has all the tools you want at the position and could certainly help them in the passing game in particular, something Matt LaFleur literally kind of brought up unprompted at the owners' meetings. You talk about, you know, what they need to do on offense, and clearly they were stubbing their toe in a big way down the stretch last year. It was hard to watch at times. This is a team that was in desperate need of a reset on the offensive side of the ball. Lloyd could be a pretty significant wild card here. I'm not saying he's going to come in and go for 1,000 yards and catch 100 passes or anything like that. I'm not saying this is going to be like a fantasy football bonanza or anything. But I do think, given everything we saw in his college tape and the real upside that he has, and the fact that we got absolutely nothing out of him last year, he could be a significant addition to the offense. I'm excited to watch him in 2025. We're talking about development, right? Development. On the defensive side of the ball, I love the Hobbs addition just for his versatility. We talked about, you know, he has played mostly slot in the league. He did have a year essentially with the Raiders where he played outside. But man, you talk about last year, and Corey, you'll remember during games when guys went down. I was going to ask Evan about this, but I'm like, it's a little, you know, inside baseball. I don't want to put him on the spot. But man, we saw on a number of occasions when one injury would strike in the secondary and guys would have to move, right? And it all fell apart. It just fell apart. It was hard to watch, whether it was the Jacksonville game, that first Bears game. There were a couple others too, where one injury, everything just kind of cascaded and became a real issue. And I think Hobbs really helps as far as, okay, well, we need that extra guy outside. Boom. Well, we need that guy who's got slot experience. Boom. You've got, obviously, Keyshawn Nixon coming back.
I was about to say, who's better in the slot? Who's going to be better in the slot, really?
I think you're going to see it.
And who's better outside?
That's what's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting to watch that kind of play out. And I do think some of it is going to be matchup dependent. What type of offense are you facing? Who are their weapons? Which guy do you think lines up better with a certain type of receiver, etc.? So that, to me, really changes what Hafley is able to do on the back end. Now, obviously, people will talk about the pass rush, and that is a more than understandable concern. And that's why, Corey, I know at Happy Hour a couple weeks ago, you said you were sick of talking about him, and I totally hear it, but it is still the truth. It is put up or shut up time for Lucas Van Ness.
Oh, my God.
I think he understands that. We heard from him at the start of the tailgate tour a couple days ago.
I hope he's fucking listening to this podcast, okay? All Lucas Van Ness, get your shit together because no Packer fans believe in you. Okay? Let's just put it out there. Literally, No one believes that you can get sacks and get to the quarterback. So please prove us wrong. Thank you. Thank you for attending my TED Talk.
This is a product of Corey having to listen to, like, I would say I'm not this is not an exaggeration. I'm going to say multiple hours of Lucas Van Ness talk on the weekly CHTV happy hour so far this offseason. It has been a constant theme of conversation. So
I mean, honestly, should I feel like I don't like to question Brian during his silly season, which is when he excels, right?
Yeah, right.
But I'm going to be honest with you. The same way a lot of Packers fans I'm calling stupid for saying that we needed wide receiver 1.
Right. Do I sense some self-reflection about to occur?
No, I'm just saying I do think I am on this camp where I am disappointed. I am mildly disappointed currently with the current defensive line situation.
No,
and I
completely
don't.
Understandable.
And a little bit of this is from the Super Bowl. I'm going to be honest with you because that was a dominating performance.
They absolutely owned them up front. No doubt.
It reminded me of a Super Bowl we won against the Patriots. It just reminded me of how much a defensive line, no matter what year we're in, no matter what era we're in,
correct,
it's so incredibly important.
Own up front. That solves a lot of problems. It's a great deodorant.
So, like, I'm not happy we didn't go out and spend some dollars. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you, but but I know you know this intellectually. But it is about who's available, and it wasn't like there was a murderer's row of talent on offer.
Yeah.
I think their best options didn't even make it to market.
No.
Whether you're talking about Chase Young down in New Orleans, whether you're talking about Khalil Mack out there with the Chargers, they didn't even they came right close, but they both got re-signed, and there just wasn't a huge a bunch of options out there. Now, yes, they could have chased some older types, and I think I was on the Azeez Ojulari train. I would have liked that addition. The Eagles ended up signing him, but I somewhat understand why Brian sat it out. I don't think it's
somebody.
I get it's frustrating, but it's
LVN equals Dean Lowry 2.0. Oh my Lord.
Here's Corey. Corey, you want to hear something sad? You want to hear something sad? Here's something. Hey, wow. You guys know I'm a Gutekunst fan, and I'm rooting for Lucas Van Ness. But Dean Lowry was probably more productive
in his first year.
His first couple years.
Really? Wow.
He could get on the field. Lucas Van Ness can't get on the field. Lucas Van Ness is being outsnapped by Enigbari. He's being outsnapped by Brenton Cox Jr. An undrafted dude is outsnapping your 13th overall pick from 2 years ago. Corey, this is the problem. This is the issue. And that's why, to your point, it's time for him to prove us all wrong. It's DeMarcus Covington, the new defensive line coach. Make miracles happen, baby, because we got to see it. We got to make it happen. The other point on defense I wanted to touch on real quick is something Brian said at the owners' meeting that I found interesting in a real nerdy way, is when he talked about we played more 3 linebackers than I expected. And, given that you have Tyron Hopper, the former 3rd-round pick sitting there from last year who barely played last season, they re-signed McDuffie. I think we're going to see more 3 linebacker sets probably again this year, and probably in different situations, maybe where you're not expecting it, and letting Hafley get in the lab a little bit and kind of mixing and matching these guys. I think the one constant is obviously going to be Edgerrin Cooper, but I'm kind of interested by that statement and seeing how that plays out in 2025, because I do think, there were times where, you saw a lot of Wilson and McDuffie, probably more than we wanted to. But I'm excited to think that could turn into, Edgerrin Cooper, Quay Walker, and Tyron Hopper on the field.
I do think
I'm in on
something I was thinking about when I was not listening to the people that you were talking about that we could have gotten because I didn't know any of those people.
Sure,
What's kind of interesting is that our defense last year was better than our offense. But
Correct.
I'm more worried about our defense than I am about our offense. Isn't that interesting?
That's interesting. Well, you've got a track record with Matt at this point, too, because even on years where it was a little herky-jerky or inconsistent, he's almost always bounced back with a really productive group, right? If you think of just look at 2019 into 2020, but even like when he's been or had seasons where things were maybe a little bit more inconsistent than you'd like, you've seen he's able to come up with a way forward and a new way of working or new wrinkles that kind of unlock some of the potential on the offensive side of the ball. With Hafley, I'm really excited about what we saw. I'm really excited for year 2, but I'm with you in the sense that, man, and they've admitted this. They've said this almost to a guy. Like, we thought we were going to rush 4 and play a bunch of different coverages behind. That had to change. Hafley had to get kind of, mad scientisty because they couldn't get home with 4.
Well, I guess that's more my worry comes from. It's like with the offense, I feel like we have all the right ingredients. I disagree with people on some of the things that they think about on wide receiver 1, etc. And we have the right ingredients. I feel like with defense, like cornerback and line is, linebackers and safeties have been the best they've been in a very long time. So that's great. But like, where are we getting the pass rush? And we're one even with Hardman, we're one cornerback down to being in a really bad position.
Yeah, I think
I'm sure we'll draft
Carrington
a bunch,
Valentine.
though, by the way,
Valentine really kind of helps allay your fears a little bit there, as far as the quality starts he's given you. If something were happening to Nixon or Hobbs or whatever, like, you can still survive. I think I will say I will be surprised if they get out of this draft without a corner, at least one corner. Which brings us to the draft. People were talking a lot about the free agency and everything that's happened so far this offseason. And, of course, the draft is almost upon us. I can't believe it. I can't believe it's still 2 weeks away, actually. They could have drafted like 2 weeks ago. But, hey, I know what you guys are thinking. Hey, there's all sorts of draft guides out there. Well, which one should I get? They all look great because they are all great and labors of love. But I will tell you, there is only one draft guide that's been doing it for now 15 years by Packers fans for you, Packers fans worldwide. That's the Cheesehead TV draft guide. It's for you guys, Packers fans worldwide. Who are the Green Bay Packers going to draft? Find out from the original draft guide by fans for fans. Available from Cheesehead TV for the 15th season in a row. Hundreds of prospects analyzed with an eye towards their fit with the Green Bay Packers. We've got mock drafts, big boards, featured articles, tons of content for you, the Green Bay Packers fan. Get yours today. I just love that echo that Tyler put on the end of it.
Get yours.
It's so. Get yours today. My fellow Americans. Exactly. So good. Draft needs. Corey, they need a defensive tackle, another offensive lineman. Yes, an offensive lineman. Probably a tackle, but maybe a guard. Maybe an interior guy who can play all 3. A wide receiver and a corner. And that's not necessarily in any order, but those are the needs.
I bet they take 3 corners.
Old school, Ron Wolf style, 3 in a row.
Not 3 in a row, but I just feel like that's like a gut feeling I have. I don't know why.
The fun part about the draft, and obviously everyone's got their favorites, and I'm coming out with my draft crush video next week, so be ready, people. Very exciting times. But, the thing is we spend so much time getting ready for the draft, right? And then the Packers draft some people, and then people are either excited or upset or whatever. But I cannot stress enough, please go and read Mark Oldacre's piece on Cheesehead TV from yesterday called The Rookie Impact Fallacy. And to sum it up real quick, most rookies are not good, people. More often than not, they are not the answer. It is exactly what Corey was talking about earlier as far as development from within. And again, I know it's not sexy, doesn't sell things, it doesn't make headlines, but it is the truth, especially in Green Bay when they are a draft and develop program through and through. It's great. We all get to unwrap these presents in late April, and there's all the newest Packers, and we're all very excited. But the truth is, our guest today, Evan Williams, has a way higher chance of being a major impact, having a major impact on the 2025 season than anyone who was drafted at the end of April. That's just a fact. And you can read that piece from Mark in the Cheesehead TV Nation newsletter. The new edition comes out tomorrow morning. So what are you waiting for? Go in the link in the description of this video. You can sign up for the Cheesehead TV Nation newsletter, available in your inbox each and every week throughout the off season. Like I said, next one goes out tomorrow morning. Mark's piece is in it. Make sure you check it out. Really good stuff. All right, Corey, you ready?
No. I feel like if Shedeur Sanders drops to us, we're going to take him.
Well, that's a left turn.
That's my draft take. That's my if you came here for my
that's
draft take, that's my hot take.
I love it.
How controversial would that pick be? It would be so great. It would be so great.
It'd be weird.
It'd be weird. But like 20, what are we? 21
weird.
or 23? Where are we? 21, right?
23.
23. 23 is such a shit show.
I love how 21 sounded good, but 23 feels bad.
21's way better than 23 historically, I feel like.
Well, maybe they'll jump up. Maybe they'll get to 20. You never know. Maybe they'll trade in front of 20.
You know what I also thought about? You know what would make a good book that no one would buy? Is if you did a book on GMs that are good at picking between 20 and 30.
We would dominate.
No, I don't think we would, though. We pick a lot there, but we don't pick very well there.
Comparative to...
But that's what I'm saying, is like, for all the GMs historically who have picked between 18 and 30,
right?
Like, has any of them been good? I don't think so. I think they've all been trash.
It's just hard. The hit rate is much tougher when you get down there. But, yeah, I think the Packers would hold up. I think they'd be up for that Pepsi challenge. All right, let's hit it.
This week in the Packer blogosphere.
That's right. It's This Week in the Packer blogosphere, the return of that venerable series. Corey, our good friend Wes Hodkiewicz covers this team like nobody else. And yes, he is employed by the team, but you can absolutely get your finger on the pulse of the green and gold anytime you engage with Wes Hodkiewicz. And he had a phenomenal, it's a tweet, but he was pointing out something that was going on online with some former Packers meeting up in Africa. Let's take a look at this right here. I mean, this is absolutely amazing. So Rasul Douglas and Preston Smith, obviously former Packers, are in Africa meeting up with the Packers' former international player, Kenneth, whose last name I'm not going to butcher here. But this was from, I believe, Preston's Instagram account. And Wes is just pointing out how their time in Green Bay together formed this incredible bond where these guys went across the world to visit this dude who was an international player, never saw the field, not in a regular season game. Obviously was there at practice every day, like certainly part of the squad. But I just love this. I just love this togetherness, this idea that they formed this bond in Green Bay, and they're all still hanging out, even when I think Preston's still a free agent, now former Steeler. Rasul's still on the market, and they're just hanging as former Packers over in Africa. That's pretty cool. I just think it's pretty dope. One other thing, obviously, with the draft coming up, Corey, you've been, well, I say we've been doing this a long time, like you said earlier, I'm coming up on 18 years. And throughout that time, we've witnessed a handful of draft day meltdowns, throughout the years. You've had a few. I've had a few. We've all kind of grown and matured throughout these years, and now we have a different perspective on it. But I did kind of, suddenly have this kind of yearning to go back to a time where I didn't know anything about anything, right? And I just got emotional about the draft. And I feel like, as someone who always tells people to kind of temper things after the draft and, is a bit of a wet blanket, during the draft process, I just want to, I want to say this like directly to Packers fans. Whatever you feel on draft weekend is totally valid. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to us. Don't listen to draft people. Don't listen to the wise, learned folks who tell you about why they're doing this or whatever. They've got these contracts coming up and this is why they need to get ahead of that, roster construction wise, all that. Man, that's homework nonsense, and you don't need to pay attention to any of it. I want to highlight one of the all-time, if not the greatest fan meltdown reaction to a draft pick ever. Because look, for as ridiculous as this video is, these fans were absolutely right. Roll it.
I remember this.
The pick is in!
With the 16th pick in the 2007 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Justin Harrell.
Who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is Justin fucking Harrell? What the fuck? That is fucking gay!
Hey, that's his best stat. 25-year start.
Oh!
They look at
Oh!
They look at the Tennessee defensive tackle. Torn biceps injury early in the year prevented him from going through this draft process with momentum. I think that great.
Who is this bum?
With the injury, but you look at a kid.
What are we gonna fucking do with him? Oh! He'll up for offense! Cause you know what? Oh man. Hey. God fucking shit. This is worse than Brady Quinn. Who the fuck is Justin Harrell? Hey, you. Get up. Fuck you, Ted Thompson. You gray-haired piece of shit. Oh no.
The walk up with the chair going down.
Why are you breaking your own stuff?
I love it so much. But here's the thing, like, man, they were right. Justin Harrell stunk, you know? But Ted Thompson went on to build a contender, and they won a championship. So I'm just here to say maybe Lucas Van Ness is Brian's Justin Harrell. All right?
I hope not.
You just give him a mulligan, let him build his contender. But honestly, and I do mean this, I know I am the kind of cheerleader for we don't know, let them work, etc. So please don't listen to me. Like, whatever you're feeling, feel it. Lean into it. That's what the draft is all about. It's fun. It's emotional. Have at it. Like, no one knows anything. So just try to feel whatever you're feeling and know that it's legit. That's it. I just wanted to point that out. I don't know, Corey. I don't know why.
I thought what you were going to pull,
last night.
what you should have pulled, and I should have let you know, was the time, because no one believes me, is when we did a Packer Transplants and we had Goodell on his way to the draft. That was epic. We got to pull that clip. We will. He was on the phone on the way to Radio City the night before. He was literally walking to Radio City.
It was the night before the draft.
The first night. Can you imagine Goodell on a podcast on the night of here in Green Bay? No, he's going to be on like NFL Network. You know, this was before NFL Network too. Pretty sure.
That's so good.
So crazy.
Good. Speaking of the draft being there in Green Bay, Corey, your neighbors are some folks. I'll tell you.
Don't loop me. Okay. Don't loop me in with them, although I am the president of the Lombardi Neighborhood Association. So.
You are indeed. So I saw this report from one of the locals, and there's just one part of it. Like, look, I get it. People maybe, expected the draft to be something, and it's something else, or we can get into it on the flip here. But there's just one part of this video from a local report that I'm just dying at. Let's take a listen there.
At the corner of Oneida Street and Lombardi, Debbie Jocks has the closest house to where the NFL draft stage is going up. Yet she still hasn't had anyone request to rent it.
I think everybody in our neighborhood initially was so excited it was coming, and we are really excited it's coming. We thought our house would be rented out by now, and we're still available.
Jocks initially listed her place for $10,000 a night with a 5-night minimum. Now, it's $3,000 a night with a 3-night minimum.
I can't with that final shot. When it pans from Lambeau to the side of that house with the whole, it's like a little ranch house with this broken ass thing on like what do you call it? The gutter on the side, and it's $10,000 a night for 5-night minimum. Like, okay, I understand. Like, yes, it's a huge event, once in a lifetime. I get that. But man, if I'm looking you up on the internet and that's the house, yeah, no, you ain't getting $10,000 of my money a night. Like, fix it up or something. Make it look nice, at least. Oh, Corey, I'm sure you have some thoughts, but I just thought
I have all kinds of problems with that. I responded to the reporter on the fact that he chose that person to interview. I will say it is illegal per the city of Green Bay to show a rental sign on your door. I saw that in the article. That's actually against Green Bay ordinance. You're not allowed. You're only allowed to advertise online. You're not allowed to actually advertise your for rent. So when people have a sign on their yard or that I just realized that. I was looking at it. I was like, oh, that's against Green Bay ordinance. So that's interesting. But yeah, just the fact that it was one person, the person they interviewed I have issues with for many reasons that I won't go into here. But the fact that it didn't interview. So here's the thing, right? I think a lot of people had crazy expectations, including myself. And although I will be, if you want to know the God's honest truth, there are people that are getting more than that. But their properties are very, very, very nice, and they're very, very exclusive locations. So let's be real, right? There are people getting way more than that, okay, and for different reasons. And they've either booked it earlier, sponsorships, whatever, right? The big thing, though, that I tried to say on Twitter 3 days ago is that when you think about the draft, no one, and when I say no one, very few people come to the draft for the whole week. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's a week event, right? Everybody's comparing it to Packer games, but I don't know that because this has never happened before. I don't think that you can have weird expectations. You kind of have to just go with the flow and figure it out. And I think a lot of people have. So, truth be told, Packer Bungalow, which is a rental house that I have on a block away from my house, it's rented. But the biggest thing that we discovered, and shout out to not myself, but what we discovered was is that when you're on Airbnb, and this is a little inside Airbnb and Vrbo, but when you're on those sites and you say, hey, I want to stay somewhere for 1 or 2 nights, which is what normal people are going to do. Most people
are doing, right.
A 3-night minimum or a 5-night minimum doesn't even show up on the website. So you just listed your place for 5-night minimum, but no one is there for 5 nights. So you're limiting the people that will see it, number one. And so what I've learned since is, think about Airbnb and short-term rentals. You really want to just do 1 or 2 nights. Like game days, most people have a 1 or 2 night minimum, like the hotels, right? And so that makes sense, right? Hey, I want to stay for 1 or 2 nights. What I've discovered since is a lot of people are making a lot of money by flipping that on its head and having a high price on a 1-night minimum and then doing a turnover. So they're ending up renting it 3 or 4 times that week, which, by the way, that's the point of a short-term rental, right? Like when you think about what it's like. Yeah. So, I do think, I could go into why there's a lot of reasons why I do think that video and the article by Fox 11 was a little bit disingenuous by only interviewing one person, by making the bias of the story like, and if you only interview one person, you're going to get the bias of your story.
You get one experience.
I didn't go to J school, but everything I've learned, like you kind of got, because like I could have given them, for every person like that, I can give you 6 people who have rented their place already. So what does that mean? So if there's 6 people who have rented and one person who hasn't because they put their place up for 5 or 3 nights, I think that's a little bit disingenuous. Also, I will say a lot of people make this decision last minute. So, there's going to be a ton of people here. I don't know if there's going to be 250,000 or 500,000, but there are going to be a lot of people. It's going to be something that we've never seen before in the city of Green
270 is the estimate from local officials. I'm excited.
Well, and I think I do think that's a little under, but I don't know. I think, a lot of people, the other thing that I think a lot of people understand is this is going to be a drive event. This is going to be, I'm going to take a drive from Madison, UP, Chicago, Detroit, wherever, Omaha, right? I'm going to drive 6 hours. I'm going to come there. I'm going to stay 1 night far a little way, and I'm going to see what it's like, and then I'm going to leave, right? And I think that's the vibe, right? And it's going to be incredible. I'm really excited about it. I've definitely been nervous about it. Like I said, there was a moment about a week and a half ago where I just you can feel the draft. Like it is here in Green Bay. It is a real thing.
Love it.
It's pretty much what everyone is talking about right now. So
hey, speaking of the draft in Green Bay, if you're going to be in the area, if you're going to be one of those souls who is like, hey, yes, once in a lifetime, got to check it out. Make sure you come out and visit with Corey and myself the night before the draft, downtown Green Bay at Stage 1 from 8 to 11 p.m. Carry the G will be on special. That's right. If you've never had a Carry the G, now is your chance. We'll have some Cheesehead TV giveaways and a special guest or two may be sauntering by. Hell, you heard earlier, Evan Williams might be there. So come on down, stage 1, downtown Green Bay. And hey, if you're going to be at Andy Herman's thing earlier in the night, just come on by. It's right across the bridge. He's going to be at Hagermeister, and then we're right across the bridge
really close.
at stage 1. So it's going to be a great night. It's going to be a lot of fun. We can sleep in the morning because the draft ain't until the next night. Get after it, people. It's going to be a lot of fun. Anybody got anything to say there on the YouTube channel, Corey?
Yeah, we got Paul Tribbett. Thanks for Super Chat. Who is your all-time favorite center?
Center. Oh, wow. What a question. Give me Larry McCarron. Larry McCarron probably with a honorable mention to Bag of Donuts. I know I knew who yours is.
Who's mine?
Corey Lindsley.
No. I was gonna pull a Lombardi sweep out of my ass. I was gonna pull a Lombardi sweep out of my ass. Just because I love the Lombardi sweep, it's such a great play.
I feel you.
You got to have a good pulling center. So
I just love Larry McCarron. That's all.
You just like the fact that his pinky's all messed up. Tulio Fonseca. Awesome. Corey, has anyone reached Corey trying to get a B&B at his house? No B&B is here, buddy. But I did. My other place is rented, and CHTV is actually renting my other place for one night. So that's
Can't
exciting.
Wait. I'm very excited.
That's exciting. Taylor, Corey, tell the people what they really want. How's the garden prep going? What do you have planned that's new this year? So I haven't announced it yet, but I am launching a new gardening channel because I'm an idiot. And
this is true.
I'm actually
He's not
launching.
kidding, people.
I've been shooting videos since January, and sometime in May, I'm going to be launching a new Green Bay Gardener channel on YouTube. It's actually on YouTube right now, so if you'd like to subscribe, you can go ahead. There are no videos. There's only 2 videos I shot like 20 years ago. But I've already shot videos, and my first video is going to be about growing some Lambeau Field grass, which is really cool, actually. Yeah, I know it might not sound cool, but it's a really cool video. And then,
I love it.
Yeah, so a lot of gardening coming, a ton of new things, and I'll be talking about them on the channel. So please follow me on there.
I can't wait till we highlight our first Corey gardening video on Packers blogosphere.
It's going to be Lambeau grass for sure.
Exactly.
Because everybody's going to want Lambeau grass. What's funny is the Lambeau grass that I grew, I was given by someone at 1265 like 4 years ago. So I was worried that it wouldn't germinate. But I realized like all these smaller containers, when you put like a regular plant in them, the regular plant doesn't do well in them, but grass does really well. And it's so cute. Like you cut it and then you like give it a haircut. And it's cool to think like that's Lambeau Field grass, and you put it in your window and
dope.
It is even if you don't like gardening and plants, like it is.
No,
and it's like
the
little thing. It's like says Lambeau Field, and it's got the history of. It's cool.
That's
cool.
Sweet.
Jake McMacken. I met Evan Williams at training camp. You could tell he was a stud and killer mindset, but great dude. Yeah, he seemed. He seems like a really smart guy.
Zero doubt.
Sean, Overshadow Sean. Thanks for the super chat. Word. No idea what that was about, but I think it was when we were interviewing Evan. Fausti, thanks for the super chat. Took over managing concessions at Cava Sports Facility in Middleton, Wisconsin. We're serving Carry the G all draft long. Let's go.
Let's go, Fausti.
Suggestions for spreading the word about the creamy and cold refreshment available? Well, maybe, Fausti, maybe we need to do a video of, maybe we need to come to Middleton, Wisconsin and shoot a little video about you guys having Carry the G right now.
I mean, if this was Packers Daily, I'd play the ad video right now, but I don't have it loaded up because we have producers who don't have access to it. But
we are going to be doing some Carry the G videos in the off season, which I know we're in the off season now, but after the draft. So Fausti, Middleton, Wisconsin might have to be on our list.
Fausti, seriously though, shoot us an email, contact@CHTV.com, and let us know like what's the establishment, etc., and we'll shoot a video for you. Absolutely, 100%.
Yep. Mike Witt, thanks for super chat. Hey guys, Eeyore number 2 checking in. Just wondering if Bukowski is going to be in town. Maybe a Behnke Bukowski draft collaboration coming up. I don't have any idea because I don't follow him. I don't know anything that he's doing. Does anybody know if he's coming?
I have no idea, actually. I should ask. I'll reach out, Corey.
It's interesting that the most popular, which I think is bullshit, the most popular Packers podcast on the internet isn't going to come to Green Bay for the draft. Oh, that's right. He doesn't know anybody at 1265 or have any inside information, and why would he do that? Because no one cares. Thanks for playing. Mr. Chundra, thanks for Super Chat. Hey, Corey, what are your positions of need for the Packers this draft? Okay, so definitely defensive lineman, cornerback, linebacker, wide receiver. And we got to get an offensive lineman. So there you go. Those are my positions of need.
Not bad, Corey. Not bad.
I didn't say punter. Mike Witt, thanks for Super Chat. Going to be in town for all 3 days for the draft. Can't wait. My bucket list, I want to meet Nags, Behnke, Herrick, and Siggy Guy while I'm in town. I don't know where Siggy Guy is. So, Mike Witt, you got to come to the Wednesday night meetup. I think we're going to have another event, but not in the 3 days. The 3 days, that's the main event we're going to be having.
That's the main event. And sadly, I don't believe, I think Tyler is going to be sitting it out down there, going to keep him warm down in Arizona, but maybe he's up. I'm not sure. He hasn't said one way or
right
the
now.
I'll have to ask.
Right now, I think you're right. I don't think to. I love people going, I listen to Pete. I don't care. Dustin Logan, thanks for the Super Chat. Cheesehead TV, top 2, not 2. You guys are the best. Have a beer on me. Thank you, Dustin, for the Super Chat.
Thank you, Dustin. Appreciate you, brother.
Speaking of a Shadow Lane inhabitant himself, Mike Witt, thanks for Super Chat. Since it's almost time for the draft, hypothetically, who do you think runs the faster 40, Behnke, Nags, or Herrick? I'm going to put Herrick because he's a lot younger than us. I can definitely run faster than Aaron because I'm
right now. You definitely could, no question.
I can run faster than Aaron, but
no doubt.
Yeah. Aaron can probably tackle better than me. Aaron can probably tackle better than me if he can catch me, but.
Correct.
But yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Mike Witt, are you guys going to have Grossi on Cheesehead TV while I was in town for the draft? Jaden Higgins is my draft crush. Reminds me of Nico Collins coming out.
Man, I'm trying not to get excited about Jaden Higgins, but it's hard not to get excited about Jaden Higgins. But I am pretty sure he'll be drafted right before the Packers are up in the second round, is my guess. And we've gone back and forth with Grossi. We'll be doing something with Tom. Who knows what it is? I know he's going to be in town. We've texted back and forth, and we'll see. We'll see. We'll be doing something, I'm sure. We're going to see Tom at some point, no doubt.
George, I'm sorry you listen to Bill Michaels. I feel bad for you. Jerry Weiss, Corbly, does Corey have a draft crush? Yeah, Shador Sanders. Shador Sanders is my draft crush.
There you go.
I mean, I just think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be good. Soder would be kind of nice. This is ER number 1. Would be kind of nice to have a first-round wide receiver along the lines. Oh God, Lofton, Sharp. Yeah, because we're going to be able to take at 23. We're going to be able to take Lofton, Sharp, or pre-injury Walker running around out there. Yeah, not happening. Okay, yeah, he's saying that. I don't understand that.
I love how you got all indignant before you realized that the last line, like
that he was being satirical.
Getting indignant about it.
Yeah. I really of all the chats I've ever read, that's probably one of the worst chats I've ever read.
Oh, so good.
So I'm sorry, Soder. I'm sorry. I appreciate Soder a lot. I totally ruined that. Uncultured. Not gonna lie, there was a Mike Sherman draft where I had to walk outside before I threw a work boot at my TV.
There were a lot of decisions made by Mike Sherman, the GM, that had me in that headspace, uncultured. No question.
I mean,
no doubt about it.
I don't know. Ted in the last couple of years was pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
It's got to be kind of worse than Mike in a lot of ways. But yeah, I hear you.
Although, hey, forever and ever remember, Ted, literally his last 2 transactions were signing Devontae Adams and Corey Linsley to contract extensions. I mean, that's a hell of a parting gift on the way out.
I get that to Brian.
That's a hell of a gift on the way out the door.
That was Brian, for sure.
That was before Brian was hired.
It was the ghost of Brian.
Okay.
he had some stinkers. There's like 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know.
There's
I'm aware.
There's 3 years of stinkers, bro. So I hear you.
No doubt.
I hear what you're saying.
You're not wrong.
To be honest, the problem was not Mike Sherman. The problem was 1265 thinking that, hey,
one man could
Vince Lombardi didn't work as a fucking coach and a GM. I don't think Mike Sherman or anybody else is ever going to work like we already did that, and we did it with the greatest coach to ever coach the game. Maybe let's not do that ever again.
Saying it. Right.
Hey, that wasn't it with Lombardi. Let's try it with Mike Sherman.
But
Get the
hey,
fuck
wait,
out of
wait,
here.
now wait.
That's the dumbest shit I ever heard in my whole entire life.
There's context there's circumstance. We can do another show about this, but let's not completely shit on 1265.
Let's not as 1265 and board members. Let's not completely forget our own history and how dumb an idea that is. Let's completely negate everything we've done up to this point, and let's have a high school fucking football coach be the GM and the coach. That's fucking crazy, bro. That's crazy town. Wendy Vance, thanks for the super chat. Coming to the draft, what should we not miss doing? We have been to Green Bay many times, but we've never been to a draft.
That's a great question.
It's a great question.
I would highly recommend hitting up the Neville Museum, something we haven't talked about here on this show yet, but we certainly have done a couple videos here on the channel. The kind of connection between the community and the team is highlighted in what is kind of a reimagining of a exhibit that they had a while ago. They've brought it back. Corey went and did a video there. Very cool. Make sure, because that's a bit off the beaten path, right? That's not going to be around the draft kind of complex and or campus at all. Because I think most events and most things that people are going to be checking out are either going to be one of two places. They're going to be around Lambeau and the draft kind of imprint and downtown, right? Those are kind of the two spots that most people I think are going to check out. So I would recommend A, the Neville, B, do the Heritage Trail, do the Packers Heritage Trail, because that takes you through kind of both spots we just talked about, but also a lot of other spots that are kind of off the beaten path.
I believe they announced, Wednesday, they're going to have costume characters at some of the places on the Heritage Trail.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be like a little bit special. Yes. I can't remember. Also, they do have an event at the original Lambeau Field, so where the Packers used to play, City Stadium. They have an event there on Wednesday. Wednesday night, they have a concert, and Saturday night, the Green Bay is putting on a concert in the harbor. De La Soul is the headliner on Wednesday night. Third Eye Blind, for those of you that are old like us, Third Eye Blind is playing at Epic Center Wednesday. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's literally something for everyone, and there's a lot of things. And almost all of the things, by the way, are free or close damn to it. And so that's the other thing. I think, it is a pretty economical event, and it's 100% family oriented. So that's really exciting. So all those things Aaron said and many more. Mike Witt, thanks for super chat. Whatever happened to the guy that said Super Bowl to toilet bowl? Still the best ever reaction from Ted. LOL.
I think it feels like we get asked this every year, and we
gotta find that guy.
At some point, someone's got to unearth this dude. Like, I got to imagine he's still out there.
I can't believe Kyle Cousineau hasn't found that dude.
I know, right? He's got to be out there somewhere. And it is an all-time. You are right, Mike. It is an all-time.
I just want to get in that guy's face and be like, "You're an idiot."
No, I know. I want to hear his story. I want to hear. I know.
I want to hear his story.
See how he feels now watching Aaron Rodgers go win a Super Bowl.
I'm going to listen to his story, and then I'm going to say, how does it feel to be one of the most idiot Packer fans in history? That's going to be my question.
Have documentation about it where everybody references.
I'm going to be like, how does it feel to be one of the dumbest Packer fans to ever live?
Oh, man. Hey, no. See,
you know what? They should have an inverse. They should have an inverse Hall of Fame for the dumbest Packer fans. Like, instead of like the Packer fan of the year, it's like dumbest Packer fan of the year. I could win that.
Corey, I can't sit up here and say to everybody like,
fan of the year.
Feel what you feel. Your feelings are valid, and then you call them dumb. Like, man, people are just passionate.
We can have different opinions. It's okay.
I know.
There's some dumbass people on this earth.
We're embracing.
Look at the president. Hello.
I love it.
There's some of the dumbest.
Let's give a shout
some of the dumbest damn people to have ever live in this era currently. So ain't nothing to that, my friend.
Giving a shout out to all of our Patreon members. You guys are the lifeblood of everything we do. We cannot thank you enough for all of your support, and for all the new Patreon members who signed up while getting the draft guide. We really appreciate you. Hope you'll stick around and check it out. Really, really appreciate the support. And Carry the G Club members here on YouTube. You guys are absolutely thebomb.com. So much fun each and every time. Not only watch parties, but everything we do that's ever live here on the channel. You guys carry it all in the chat. Really appreciate you. Corey, you got anything else before we head out and get ready for this draft?
Jake McMacken just said this thing that you're going to relate to. I used to not like Corey, but as time went on, I love him. LOL.
Welcome to the journey. Welcome. This is the Corey Behnke experience. Whenever anyone asks about
Just
our
give
history,
me time.
Corey, it's the first thing I say. I hated this motherfucker the first time I met him. I mean, visceral. Wanted to beat him up, and now he's one of my best friends. It's just the way it works. It's just how it happens. It's the Corey Behnke experience. Welcome to it. That'll do it for this episode of Packer Transplants. We'd like to thank everyone who makes Cheesehead TV part of their daily Packers routine. We are and will always be devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide.
I think it's a fluid situation, and I know you guys love it, especially Nagler. I can see you smirking at me right there. We're going to take it one day at a time, and it's going to be fluid, though. That's all I can tell you.